Good day, everyone. My name is Leon Borda, and I'm the project assistant within the Black Sea NGO Forum, a project implemented by Fund Romania. Our guest today is Mr. Lefteris Papagiannakis from Greek Council for Refugees. The Greek Council for Refugees is a non-governmental organization which has been active since 1989 in the field of asylum and human rights in Greece.
Thank you for having me, and best of luck with the project.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lefteris, who are the immigrants and why they make this decision to come in another country?
Look, migrants or people on the move, as we like to talk about because it's a more general term, are people who find themselves in a very difficult situation, looking for a better future, or who are in danger in their countries and need to leave urgently, either by war, by a natural disaster, economic reasons, etc., etc. So people who have the need or the willingness to find a better future. It's not always automatic for a person to leave or obligatory. People decide to leave because they are not satisfied with their life in the place that they live, or they are obliged because it is very dangerous for them to remain there. So it depends. The motive and the push factor, as we say, it's different every time. But we have to keep in mind that migration is, first of all, human history. Human history has evolved because people move, and the earth is occupied because people moved. We are not happy with the earth, and we want to go to the moon, or we want to go to Mars, or we are always looking to find another place, a better place. It depends. And people have the need to move. They 1 out of 6 persons on earth is a migrant, either eternal migrant or international migrant. So migration, movement, is part of us, and we need to treat it not as a problem, but as a fact of life, as a human right, as we can discuss on that. But a migrant can be any one of us. Of course, a refugee even more, because all of us can ask for asylum wherever. If we get it, this is another discussion, because many times people mix it up. They say that if you don't need to ask for asylum, you don't have the right to ask for asylum. Who is to decide that? It's another discussion. So everyone has the right to ask for asylum for whatever reason, even the most unbelievable or non-existent. He won't get it probably, but he has the right to ask.
In the case of Greece, from which countries do immigrants come from, and what are their expectations?
Look, in Greece we have, as we say, different, I don't like very much the word, but just for the sake of the discussion, different waves, different periods. In the 90s, we had a lot of people coming in from the East, from ex-Soviet Union democracies, people from Albania, because there was tension between the two countries and Greece opened up its border for Greek descent, people of Greek descent, Albanians of Greek descent. In the year 2000, we had a number of people coming in from sub-Saharan Africa, still have a wave of people coming in. Then we had the big, what we call the crisis. I disagree with the term. The big numbers coming from Syria, Afghanistan, etc., because of the war. And now we have a number of people coming in from the Ukraine because of the war, also the invasion of Russia. The number is not very big, but it is a significant amount of people coming into Greece. We also have a very big Ukrainian community, so people feel safe here. In the previous years, I don't know if you know it, back in 1922, 100 years ago, and it is a very important date for Greeks, we had minor Asia Greeks coming into Greece because, as you know, Greece lost a war, and we lost the minor Asia region, and who fell into the hands of Turkey. We lost the war because we wanted to invade and get more, and we lost whatever we had. So there is the destruction of Smyrna, people coming in. We had the exchange of populations back in 1955, again between Greece and Turkey, and because of that, and for other historical reasons, we have the Muslim minority, the Greek Muslim minority in the north of Greece. So we have, I would say, people from all around the world, as we have many Greeks living around the world. We have 10 million inhabitants in Greece, and we have a diaspora of 10 million Greeks also in the United States, in Australia, in Germany, all around the world, in Africa. So people coming into Greece, they come from all over. As you know, Greece, especially since 2016, is a destination country. We had we were used to being a transit country. Many people crossed through Greece to go to Central Europe or in Germany especially, but it was a transit point. Since 2016 and the EU-Turkey Common Declaration, Greece turned officially and violently into a destination country.
What are the challenges faced by these immigrants?
Look, specifically for Greece, I would say that in the last 12 years at least, I will speak about before that, but in the last 12 years, Greece has been through a number of actual crises. So in 2010, we had the financial crisis that started and lasted until 2020, officially, I mean. During the time of the crisis, the financial crisis, the Greek society collapsed. So it was very difficult. The unemployment was very, very high. So it was very difficult for migrants to find work. It was a very specific and very, how can I say that, a consequence that was felt from the whole society, but also from migrants. Then in 2009, 2015, on top of the financial crisis, we faced the huge influx of people crossing Greece, which was named the refugee crisis. So it was another crisis. After that, in 2020, at least from their own means, but this is another discussion. We had the pandemic, which created a new type of crisis for migrants also. And now we have the war in the Ukraine, which creates another crisis, because the war in Ukraine will cause a hunger crisis probably. We see that also already in the Middle East and Africa. And this will create another migration flow. And it's a never-ending story. So it's vicious circles and vicious circles, etc. So the challenge is how to adapt in this very complex reality, because the war is affecting also the EU, the world in totality. The pandemic has affected the world. But the challenge for them, at least in Greece, is how to adapt in this multi-crisis environment in a country that has never worked with migration in a very concise way. We don't have an integration strategy or an integration policy for that matter. So talking about migration in Greece is only very, very theoretical, not political at all. We have never implemented policies in the context of a national policy or in the context of the European policy. Because as you know, migration is a competency for the member states. So we are not present in this context. We don't get any type of pressure from our counterparts. Everyone does whatever wants want. So the challenge is how to adapt, how to integrate, basically, into this multi-level crisis environment in a country that has never actually talked seriously about migration.
And how do you think we can integrate immigrants into a society?
Integration or assimilation or whatever. Inclusion, we have different words with different meanings and theoretical approaches that we use. It's not easy. Let's use the word integration. It's not easy to integrate people. It takes a long time. We have indexes, the Saragossa indexes, or we have policies, etc., around the world. We have good practices that we can use. I would say, and speaking about Greece, the main thing is to have the willingness to integrate. So giving them the opportunity to integrate, giving them the tools and the policies that allows them to stay in Greece and thrive and adjust and live, basically. Not all approaches are successful. We have failures all around the world. We have failures in Germany that has, from the theoretical at least point of view, a very successful integration system. We have failures in the United States, that has been doing integration for the last 120 years in the same way. We have failures in England, in France, for specific reasons, etc. So we know what is working and what is not working. But I think that the main thing is to decide and project a willingness to allow people to stay, to include them, to say that in a very open way that people are welcome in a country like Greece, for example. Unfortunately, Greece is not a very friendly country in the context of policy and welcoming, etc. We have policies that clearly show that we don't want migrants. We have a lack in policy for the last 40, 50 years that clearly demonstrates the willingness of the Greek state not to integrate people. We have, of course, excellent examples of integration. They are not well known. The best known examples of integration, unfortunately, and I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, I'm saying that it's a bad practice, is professional athletes or people who could offer, can contribute to the glory of Greece, unfortunately. It's this very confusing way of seeing the Greek identity. That if you are not born Greek, and if you are not a Greek, in order to become a Greek, you have to give us something. That's something that we can be proud of. Olympic medals, notoriety, etc. If you work and you offer to your family and your kids grow up to become Greek citizens, etc., we are not very interested. But if you can give us gold medals, then we are very happy. This is a bit, I'm overreacting a bit, but this is the approach that we use. It's a very extreme approach with two extremes, the very negative prospect of having people here and the very positive prospect of having people offering something to Greece and making them Greeks. So the first thing I would say that it is the planning, policy, supporting politically, the integration of migrants, have the willingness to allow them and to offer them the possibility to stay.
I think it takes for an immigrant to integrate into the Greek society.
Unfortunately, we don't have the necessary data to calculate. We don't use data or research to calculate how long it takes for someone to integrate. I can give you specific examples of people who now they are Greeks because they have the Greek citizenship, and it took them around 15 to 20 years to get the identity. It took them less to become, if you want, Greeks, or it will take more for them to become Greek, whatever Greek means. I don't know if being Greek means that you watch a lot of football, or if you talk a lot about politics, or if you fight a lot about politics, or if you fight a lot about football, or you drink your coffee the way the Greeks do, or you take your time to drink your coffee like we do. It takes a lot of time in the sun. It's something that we do, and we are very happy with it. I don't know what qualifies someone to be Greek. For me, someone who has been here for a long time, who has children who go to the Greek school, who has a job, who can support his family, he or she, who has a strong connection with the local society, who is part of the local society, who becomes a local, if you want, in a broader term, is part of the Greek society. Is the fact that you speak Greek well or not part of that? I'm not sure that it is part of that. But because, if I may add, learning Greek is not mandatory in Greece. It is mandatory if you want to pass the exam to become a Greek. But in order for you to stay in Greece, it's not mandatory. When you enter Greece, there is no mandatory courses for Greeks. In Holland, it is. In Germany, it is. So it is a question of approach also. So in the end, who is a Greek person, who becomes Greek? It's not very easy. Ancient Greeks said, whoever participates in the Greek education is a Greek. So you have a lot of approaches. But again, if you don't use data, if you don't have a policy, if you don't have a plan, you don't have a strategy, who becomes Greek is a question also a bit, I don't like that, unfortunately, it's a bad thing. It's a question of luck also. If you find the opportunity, if you have good luck or whatever, because there is no plan. So there is no clear answer to that. Hopefully, in the next year, we will develop indexes or we will use the existing system and data in order to be able to answer more specifically, at least at the theoretical, in a theoretical way, to this question. But you have a number of different elements to use. You have successes and failures like everywhere else, but we cannot present it in a concise and scientific, if you want, or data-proven way.
How do you think immigration is changing a society?
From what we know from research around the world, usually migration is very, very positive. It starts out with the economic benefits. It boosts the local economy and the national economy. It gives, and sorry for the bit cynical way of saying it, it provides citizens in the long run or in the shorter term. For example, when a refugee goes to Scotland, he can vote immediately in the local election. He participates, he's integrated in the political process. In Greece, it's not allowed. You have to be Greek to vote in the local elections, and we have a high court decision to prove it, unfortunately. And because in order to be Greek in Greece, you have to have Greek blood according to the justice system, which is very unfortunate, and it's a very nationalistic approach. It's based on the right of the jus sanguis approach, and not on the jus solis. In the United States, if you are born in the United States, you are American citizen immediately, automatically. The same goes with Canada, etc., etc. So what immigration offers, it offers diversity, it offers a new way of thinking, it offers culture, news, civilization, it promotes, and how can I say that? It makes civilization, your civilization, the national civilization and national culture more interesting, more diverse. It has a lot of benefits. Of course, we know that in some cases, migration is a problem. It is an issue. Yes, especially if it's not managed, if we can use this word. As all things that change the daily lives of people who receive either influences or other people, etc., it is a complex reality. But from research, we know that it has a very positive result.
In the end, I want to ask you, what is the most important effect of immigration that we don't think about?
I don't think that we don't have all the elements and we don't think about all the aspects of migration. I think that we deliberately, in a way, especially if we don't want migration, withhold evidence. For example, in Greece, because we never talked about migration seriously, we never counted or we never discussed about the losses of the national economy, of the national social security system, and the loss of money, if you want, to be very straightforward and cynical. A lot of money is being lost by Greece because we have people working in the black market and people who send money back to their countries, which is fair, I understand that, but it's not regulated. We are not collecting taxes, for example. The discussion around remittances, the money that people send back, has never been done in a very concise way. We never discussed it, in a very academic or evidence-based way. We don't know how much money we are losing. And this is very, very simple and very straightforward, and we know that we are losing money. If we count, at least for the last 40 years, I would think about billions of euros that have been lost from the Greek financial system. Social security, taxes, local economy, money that goes around generates money. So we have lost billions because we don't want to give the opportunity for people to stay here, because we are very happy with them working in the black market, but we don't want them to feel welcome and stay here and become Greeks in the end, probably. So it is a question of policy again, political will, and approach. What do we want to do with migration, with migrants? What do we want to get out of this phenomenon? We treat it as a problem. And when you treat something like this is such a global phenomenon as a problem, it is very difficult to offer solutions, because when you say problem, people say, okay, what is the solution? There is no solution to migration. Migration is not a problem to have a solution, or you don't need a solution for something that is not a problem. So it's a discussion that goes round and round and round, because we choose to approach it like this. Unfortunately, we discuss about a problem, which can become a problem. I mean, practically, if you don't have the capacity to receive people, if you are not ready to offer the necessary services, yes, you can have a problem. It's not migration that is the problem, it's the way that we manage and we prepare with people on the move as countries, or as a union, or as a global system. Because migration, again, as I said in the beginning, is human history. If human history is a problem, then we have a problem, really. So we are not, I don't think that we don't know all the aspects of migration. I'm not an expert on the theoretical approach. I'm not an academic, so I cannot tell you clearly, but I believe that we are not ignoring deliberately, or we are not aware of all the aspects of migration. We use migration as in the political debate in the wrong way, in my opinion, but okay, it is a matter of opinion. And we cloud things and we hide things deliberately. The positive aspects of migration, we don't talk about them, because then suddenly migration becomes interesting. Although all of us, in a way, we have been in contact with migration. I was born in France because my parents were students in France and couldn't return to Greece because of the military dictatorship. So in a way, if you want, in a very far-fetched way, they were political refugees. Not officially, but let's use this terminology. I was born in France because my parents were in France. So in a sense, I have a part in me that is a migrant, and I'm very happy with it. And I'm very proud of it, and I use it, and I think it's something wonderful. Many Greeks have studied abroad as migrants. Many of them never returned. So we have migration, if you want, and if you can use this term, in our blood, in our existence, all of us. So if we talk about this our reality as a problem, it becomes a problem, and it's very difficult to manage it. So we have to change the approach.
Mr. Lefteris, thank you very much for being today with us.